What's up, tribe? I hope everybody's gonna have a good Christmas. I am trying something out. I didn't even label this. This was a test. I was supposed to put that people weren't supposed to be here to watch this. You're more welcome. I'm gonna jump on the computer here. I'm playing around. Hopefully the audio you can hear me. For the minute, I mean, if you got questions or anything, you're more welcome to ask. I'm like I said, I don't know how, we'll just see how it kind of goes. As I'm playing around, I gotta sign in here real quick and play around a little bit. Just getting some stuff kind of tweaked in, playing around. Might work, it might not. Need a tech person that's got all that stuff, you know what I mean? That knows all the goods and the ins and the outs. The goods and the outs. I don't know if the audio will be okay either. Let's see here. We are going to turn this way down. You're done. You're done. It says we're live, but it's not showing live. We might be. A lot of Christmas shopping. Christmas. Right? I show myself there. I go, no picture. Oh, I can set it for, okay. Go like this. And bada bing, bada boom. I want to see if this is going to work behind me. I don't think I turned it on. Looks like it's working though. We're working. It's getting there. Got a little bit of a glare going on. I just had to see if I could still use the phone because it normally doesn't let me go horizontally. And so that's always kind of a bummer. Let me see if I can get into the old Camementes. 16, let's see here. Where do you go? Where do you go? How do you do this? Especially on a computer, it's always so different, right? I seen somebody pop in there. Live. We go to the live chat conversation. Can I open that? I can't open that. Bam. I got this. Maybe. One. Oh, here we go. All right, there we go. We got Eric. Eric's in the house. What's up, Eric Freeze? You been working on anything? Anything new out there? Anything new and improved? Christmas time. Oh, Christmas time. Let's see. We got 2 in there. 3. Perfect. Perfect. Just Christmas. Christmas decorations. All right. Christmas is always kind of a hustle and bustle. I forget, Eric, do you get time off? Do you get some time off? Well, if you do, what day? You get like Christmas Eve and Christmas, and that's it? Back to work kind of Thursday, Friday? Just off, chilling? I forget. Remind me. Remind me. Let's play around with this a little bit. Feels weird. I should be like looking here. I think I had to do something different, I think. We'll see if that throws up in there. Hello and welcome. Okay, so that shows up. Perfect. Why do I got like a little crown? I don't want to be king. It's good to be, what do they say? What do I always say, right? It's good to be king, but the crown is heavy. Super heavy. You guys are cruising through, let me know. Let me know where you're at, what the temperature is, what the weather's like, what state, city, altitude, anything. Eric says, it's because you're king. Oh my gosh, man, I tell you. It's like that saying though. You know, it's good to be king, but the crown is heavy. I always like that saying. Boy, that's always good, right? Everybody always, I want to be the boss. I want to be this. Yeah, okay. Okay, when it comes to, the helm, I've been at the helm, in the wheelhouse, right, of the ship. And it's a lot of pressure, Don't over rev the engines. don't make sure don't overwork your crewmen. Make sure the boat stays upright. We're just playing around here, like I said, seeing what's going on. Figured I want to tackle it tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be, everybody's busy Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve is going to be slammed. And then you get through Christmas, and then, of course, I can't use my phone. It's always something. I'm trying to think of, maybe I can see it on here. Got everything else around here. Where's a calendar? I don't know what the date for the first one is. I want to see what the first. I'll go over here real quick if I can. Let's go maps. Oh, they're probably busy. They are probably busy. Like I said, there's always how do you explain it? Like YouTube has a weird demographic to it to some degree of how the algorithm works, right? So for instance, let's just say for one, there's some variables, right? I mean, for one, it's early, right? So everybody's, probably some people are still kind of working. Some people they're trying to wrap things up. Some people are trying to do last minute gift shopping. Some people are probably, helping the wives or whatever, trying to wrap decorations, trees, family. You know how it goes. Evan, what's up, Evan? Evan sees about ready to have supper. I see that's another good one. So you think about it when the time is going, because Eric, what time is it for you? What time is it for you, Eric? I don't know. I forget what time zone you're in. I mean, it's sitting about almost 7 o'clock here. 7 o'clock p.m. up in the Michiganders, Michigan. Eric says, I was eating supper as I joined. Well, like I said, I'm just bouncing around. Don't feel obligated. I'm just cruising. Just wanted to play. I noticed, the time. Oh man, Eric, you're in Monroe? You're in Monroe, Michigan? Oh man, you're a Michigander too. Son of a gun. Shoot. I wonder who you got. Do you got any any of your garage door companies down there, or do you know any of your vendors? Any vendors that you'd use if you need some parts and stuff? I thought there was. No, maybe that was over in Detroit. Can't quite remember. Thought there was somebody. 654. Yeah, that's what it is here. 654. Eating supper. Doesn't sound too bad, actually. What's everybody having for supper anyways? Anything good? Excuse me. Let me turn this up a little bit too. Let me just check this. I should be checking audio. Turn this up a little bit too. Let me just check this. I should be checking audio. Not too bad. It's not as good as I think the mic. Not too bad. But at least you can hear me. It's been better. It's been worse. Oh, Tanner's cruising through. Driving back from the job. See? Exactly. Kind of early. It's early. But still got to go to the shop and grab some stuff and stop at, what was that, Programs? And get some bandsaw blades for tomorrow. Snapped one today. Ooh, dang, man. I'm assuming, Tanner, you working tomorrow? You working Christmas Eve? Corn soup and noodles. Nice. It's kind of weird. I don't know. It's a little goofy, but for the longest time, I never had ramen noodles. Like, I mean, I always heard people talking ramen noodles, ramen noodles, ramen noodles. I never had ramen noodles, right? So this one time, right, you know, I'm Uncle Dave. I got an uncle too. I got an Uncle Jack, right? My Uncle Jack, we went up hunting, went to his buddy's cabin. I mean, he's like the Swiss Army knife. You know what I mean? Like he's like bare minimum. You know, so it brings up these few packs of ramen noodles, right? So the morning comes, man, and we didn't eat. You know, and my uncle, you know, I love him, but he's very bare minimum, right? Very bare minimum. So it's like we haven't ate. We drove up through the nighttime to get up there. We get crashed in this cabin. We're sleeping. I'm on some weird, awkward bunk that I've never been here, right? So sleep isn't really the best, right? And of course, when he crashes, he's in the next room over on the couch. And it's been a while since I've had a sleep next to a grown man, not right next, but next room, and I can hear the, like doing the whole son of a gun, man, he is really snoring. Whatever. Once I kind of get tuned in, I'm okay, right? And next morning comes down, I'm like starving. I'm like, holy cow, we haven't had nothing through the night. I was driving up here, like it's next morning. And so he's like, you want something to eat? I'm like, what you got? I got these ramen noodles. And I'm like, oh, I've heard about those and the stories and all that, and I thought, oh, I'll take anything. So I end up, he heats up some water, wherever, boils it, whatever he did, and he pours it in there, whatever, gives me one, damn thing was pretty good. I was like, so, and I don't bash those anymore. Those darn things are pretty good. The ramen noodles, I loved them. I was impressed. I felt like I was missing out in life. I know, Christmas Eve, man. This year feels really, I don't know about you guys, Christmas really feels off this year. Um, I guess I'd like to, if you guys know how any of your vendors or how you guys are doing it, that's why I was kind of curious about how anybody's getting days off. Because it just, like I said, it feels off. I mean, I'd rather it be like on a, like on a Friday or something. That way they get, Thursday, they get Christmas Eve, and then you take Friday as Christmas, and then you get the weekend. Then you start back. Right smack dab in the middle is really just kind of a oof. You know what I mean? Drop back to shopping ground, some stuff, some browns. Get a bandsaw blade. Dun, dun. Tanner's guy. He says, I'm working Christmas morning. He says, hello. Oh my goodness. He says, yeah, I'm working tomorrow. Holy moly, Tanner. Why? Why, Tanner? Why? Why? I don't even think I think the only one day, it was always a real, I'll bring this up because Tanner mentioned this. I remember, I was pretty much the same, you know what I mean? But I always remember I'd always get Christmas. And I remember, it was weird, when you're really in the hustle of business. And I only got 1 day off. 1 day off the whole year. 1 day. Besides maybe a weekend here or something, a day off on the weekend, right? But one solid day running the business, I would get off because that was the only day I felt gifted enough to actually not answer the phone, for one. So the phone went into a corner. I would shut it off. And it was like that day where I just go, if anybody calls me this day, I'd be like, are you serious? I mean, what could you possibly want? It's Christmas, right? So that's really tough. That's really tough. I remember, I'd put it away, get the one day. That's the only day I felt like I didn't have to answer that phone. With all the stuff coming in, you know what I mean? For the business or emergency or this or we were doing some of the 24-hour stuff and same day and blah, blah, blah. But, it wasn't so much that, it was just some of the commercial and stuff like that. Um, that's, that's crazy. That's crazy. Da-da-da. Do-do-do-do. Ooh, Eric Scotty says you can do so much with ramen noodles. Heck yeah, you can. Heck yeah, you can, man. Like I said, they got all those different varieties. I mean, like there's ways to doctor them up. I mean, I think the kids and stuff like that, the wife of Tron knows how to do a few things, and I mean, it's like son of a gun, man. I mean, I have to go on a severe budget. Ramen noodles it is, man. I tell you what, that stuff's not too bad. I'm sure I wouldn't want to, obviously, you know how it is. Like, you got to live on it. Oof, no steak, no nothing. Dun-dun-dun-dun. I cooked the chicken flavor with chicken chunks. Ooh. And carrots. Ooh, dang, dog. So I'm talking about some carrots. Oh, I love me some carrots. Dun-dun-dun-dun. Ooh. Eric says I got a job on Thursday after Christmas. Ooh. Snap. Yeah, I don't know exactly what's going on, what's in the schedule. It is definitely really weird. The whole Facebook thing, like last couple days, been just really quiet, right? And all of a sudden, ooh, I mean, people just out of the woodworks, hey, do you, hey, do you this and that and this? And I'm like, where have you people just all of a sudden came out of? Like, are you getting days off? I mean, I don't understand it. I really think with like the whole, sometimes with Facebook, I think it's like it sees activity, so it starts directing more activity towards you. Just a thought. I don't know. I don't know for sure. It's too bad. I know. Oh, Tanner's got. I was just thinking about you, Tanner. Tanner's got. He says we don't have Christmas until 1 to 2, so I'm gonna move some stuff out of another shop, boat, tractors, kayaks, trailers to another shop. Oh, nothing crazy. Okay, well, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. Like I said, it's kind of weird when you get that time off. I know. That was how my one garage, caught on fire in a sense, because when I used to work at a shop, we got whatever it was, like Thanksgiving Eve off or something like that, and then we got Thanksgiving off. And I remember, man, I was just boogieing, man. I remember I got the truck all waxed, I got the snowmobile put back together, and then poof, went the fire. You know, I keep wondering for some of you guys, and it's one of those things. I'm not trying to step over my boundaries, you know what I mean? But it's like I think about it and I go, sometimes like I think about Mr. Tanner, which love you, Miss Tanner, good dude, and sometimes Rusty and stuff like that, and some of the other guys, and I go, man, it's like sometimes I go, I almost wonder if you need to get another guy. You know what I mean? Like, because it's really weird, how do you explain it? I mean, it's just, how it is. I mean, I'm sitting here rambling because everybody's situation is different. But, I know there was a time, right? And I'm seeing it with I was thinking about it, I don't even know how it happens. I think it happens to men more, maybe women a little bit. But anyways, I was talking to a family member and I was thinking about it, and it's like, entrepreneur like us, but purchasing, right? Purchasing all this stuff. And I'm like, thinking to myself, like, all this stuff you got to take care of. So now it's, how it turns into, well, I bought somebody, I bought, a wife a nice vehicle or something, right? But now, can't drive it in the winter. So now I got to store it, right? Now I bought her a winter beater. And it's like, some of that stuff I just go, that's silly. Buy her one nice damn car, reliable, safe for the kids, stick them in that, right? Lease it if you want to. Sometimes the beautiful thing about a lease is you don't have, you got mileage, so you got to watch that. I know we did a lease. I wish I would have went to the 20K instead of the 15. We kind of added and we're like, she's not going to hit that. Yeah, she hit it. She was around the 16, 17. We ended up buying the car out eventually. But the lease was super nice. Super nice. Like that took so much burden off me, especially when you're trying to run a business. Because it's like one of those burdens, right? It's like one of those burdens, like you don't get paid to work on your wife's car. You know what I mean? You don't get paid. And like I said, everybody's situation is different, right? This is obviously, if you got the funding and stuff like that, you can do that. But it was great because I remember with the accountant too, it just turned into like an expense on the books, right? Instead of it being like, well, how much did you pay for it? Like when you bounce cars back around, I mean, I'm not an expert by this any means. I let the pros and the accountants and that do that. But it's like when I'd be in there, it's like such a pain in the butt. Well, how much did you sell it for? What do you care what I sold it for? What are you gonna do? Tax me on it? I got gains on it. The car's 10 years old. I bought it for $5,000. I sold it for $3,000. So when you're changing things back and forth a lot, it adds up, man. It's like a real pain. So that's why it's like sometimes if you can just, like I always like stuffing the wife in a new vehicle. That way she's just good for a long time. You know what I mean? Because there's some of the stuff can just really, but what I'm getting at is sometimes you can buy this stuff. What I'm ultimately getting at too is like labor. Don't be afraid in labor, right? I always remember like labor. It's hard, but you always got to be out there fishing for new labor, right? Somebody that's either part time, that doesn't mind working part time, or you do full time, and and it takes a while to train people too. I'm just rambling. Son of a gun, we got 2 likes. Whew. Better than half a like, that's for sure. Kind of all over the place for looking at comments here. Let me look here. Let me look. Erica, we're doing Christmas until this weekend due to family issues. So I'm just gonna sit on my floor for the next 2 days and watch Christmas movies and listen to Christmas music. Don't sound too bad. I like that. I know, I think we got family tomorrow, right? I got some family. Normally what we do, oh, I forgot to mention this, right? So normally what we do is, so Christmas was my only day off, right? And I used to get really irritated. I probably still would. I don't know why. I'm a real big, how do I say it? When you make your own family, you're your own family. And so that one day, like on Christmas, I like the kids enjoying the presents and their toys and all that kind of stuff, right? And I normally you just never know on Christmas, right? You never know, especially in Michigan. Michigan, the weather can just really turn. You know what I mean? It can be anything above and beyond. So I like to stay home. You know what I mean? Like that's my day that I go, no, stay home. You know what I mean? Like I always have this fear too. Like I go, could you imagine like on Christmas Day is like the day that you get into that accident, or like who knows? You get in a car accident and maybe a couple family members perish, God forbid, and you don't. You know what I mean? Like I just go That's the day I just go. You know what? Everything's pretty much closed. Just keep your butt home. So I don't know, but like I said, this week's kind of off. It's definitely going to be off. It's going to be sluggish. I guarantee. Like this whole week is honestly, if you're if you're a business owner, this whole week is shot because everybody's mind is in a different world. You know what I mean? Even if they came in, uh, what was today? Monday, right? You got Monday, right? I mean, today was totally like they're thinking about gifts and oh my gosh, I got to do this, I got to do that. You know, I mean, it's like for code red emergencies is about it. And then they'll come back on a Thursday. They'll already be like, Thursday we had to come back. I'm so like hungover and I'm so exhausted. And so it's like, so if you can swing it, take the whole week off. Just take the whole week off. It's kind of weird. We got a couple mechanics around here. They shut down for like a whole week. Good for them. Good for them. Unfortunately, it's kind of tough because you do have customers. For them, I don't know if it's like different. If I never really thought, I never put my self into mechanics. I guess they got other options, right? Um, so it is what it is. But for the garage door business, man, it is tough. It is tough because you work so hard to get those customers, and somebody else sneaks in there and they don't call you anymore, or they're upset because they're like you're taking, and it depends. Sometimes they like you, sometimes they'll come back. It's hard to say. Oh, what's Kevin got here? What's up, Kevin? Welcome, welcome. Hope you're doing good. Yeah, Dave, as I gotten older, I've come to realize that most of the emergency calls are really people being inconvenienced, that their door doesn't work. Yeah, I think there is something very true to that. And I'm glad Kevin brought this up. I mean, because as it's really weird. I was watching a little clip I might share with you guys at some point. It was talking about being over 40. And I don't, I'm just telling you, man, this is just for me. But being over 40 really changed in my life. You know what I mean? Like the perspective on things. And, when you realize, I, I kind of missed them. I was like talking to my wife one day or something, and she's like, yeah, 40, like over the hill. I'm like, no, I'm like over the hill is 50. She's like, no, it's 40. And I'm like, what? And I start, and it's like you start thinking, oh, I'm halfway through my life. You know, potentially could go when I'm 50. You don't know, right? And so, anywho, it's amazing. I like that little saying, right? That's at the desk there at the shop that says, your emergency doesn't constitute a emergency on my end. And I think customers can sometimes be like employees a little bit, especially technicians in the field sometimes. And that's why the only way I can ever relate to it is like sometimes people need to stop, go get a doobie, go get a cigarette, methodically, not real. Go outside, look at your boots, look at the ground, kick the slush around a little bit, right? Kick a rock, and just meditate give it 5-10 minutes. You know what I mean? Just, what would Superman do? I don't know. You know what I mean? Just like, you gotta like slow down, where I think the customers are the same way. You know what I mean? Like they just go, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And then they do, instead of like, if they're if they're cornered and let's say they called everybody and they'll start playing with it, right? Like start figuring it out. Hey, hit the button. Maybe I can help it up or call somebody. So I would agree with that, because what I've also noticed, which is a really, 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 really good deterrent, unless you want to, go out there, is you can tell them, say, you go, hi, if I can come out, but that normally that's a $300 spring job for one spring or whatever, we're just talking weird numbers. It's going to be, it's $600 if I come out today, and or I can wait till Monday. Well, you know what? We do have another car outside. Now, the only thing I'd like to ever see is a way to lock them up a little bit. It's because they already kind of wasted your time. That's how I look at it, right? That's just part of business, right? Oh, you know. So it'd be cool if you could lock them up and say, for me to secure your spot, you know, you're going to have to give me a credit card on file or put $30 down or something, right? But we never really go that far. You know, and hopefully, you know, because then you don't ever know. Because I ain't gonna lie, I've done it before. You know, I've whistled in there before, right? Somebody says, you call them back, right? After they've already called you and you didn't answer the phone right away. And they'd be like, "Oh, I already got somebody." And you're like, "Oh, really?" And yeah, they're gonna come out. I'm just kind of curious, you know, because now I'm kind of like in that like, well, you kind of wasted my time, you know, got me off my whatever, off the beach for a minute to jump in a hot van or something to call you back and be like, so I'm just curious what they charge. Oh, they said it's gonna be, you know, it's 85. Oh wow, geez, yeah, we're only at 65, you know, and it's funny because they'll pivot sometimes. Sometimes they won't, you know. Well, you know what? Let me call the other guy back, you know, and tell him that, you know, which ain't really fun because normally it's a crap job. It seems like anytime unless it's that what you charge, you know what I mean? And it depends on how hungry you are. But who knows? Who knows? He says, I got to interview 5 guys on Thursday. He says, I do need another guy. Oh, yes. Oh, and so one thing too, I should bring this up, that might be helpful. I talked to an old guy that used to be in you know, he was in the garage door business for years. I mean, he was in his 70s. And, you know, I always remember a couple things from him. He always would tell me about, like, you know, he's like, you got to find somebody that's like, the way he always put it was like, you got to find somebody that's a hunter, that likes the outdoors, and is like a country boy. That's what he kind of always told me. And he's kind of right. Well, then I went down to Florida one time. I was talking to a guy down there, and I was just being joking. And I said, what's it take to get a job down here? And he goes, well, he mentioned a few things, and I'm not sure, but he said something about, like, he's like, you got to be married. I think he said you had to have kids, you had to have a house, maybe a car payment. And I was just like, what? That is the weird, like, where the hell did this guy come up with this crap? You know, this was many years ago. I was pretty young. We were down there getting a part from a vendor. What the hell were we down there for? That was for some weird part too. And so anywho, but as I've gotten older, I've realized I understand now what he was trying to explain, because they have responsibilities. So a couple things to consider is if you're going to interview some people, right? One is if you can get 2 people there. It could even be a wife, it could be a friend, it can be whoever, right? You can, I always like to investigate their vehicle a little bit. That's one of them. I like to investigate their vehicle. Because normally, however, they're going to take care of their vehicle. And, you know, hey, I get it, man. I mean, you go look at my vehicle right now. I was looking down the other day. I was like, there's a few crumbs down there, and she's getting a little dusty. You know what I mean? It happens to all of us. But you know, it don't have like this much of cat hair in it. It doesn't have cigarette butts everywhere. There's not beer cans in the back that are crumpled, or even pop cans or Monster drinks. You know, it looks normal, just normal. You know what I mean? Not pristine, but normal. Because pristine might be too much. Like, this is a rental car, or this is her mom's car, or you know what I mean? Like the normal. So a vehicle is a good indication, because that's probably how they're going to treat your vehicle to some degree. You know, if they live like a pig, that's how they're going to participate with your stuff. Another thing is I would look at, if I was hiring more, I would look at more about, I'd probably want some referrals. I probably would check up on those referrals. What's nice to see is if they've been at jobs for a long period of time. That's always good. And if they have a reason why, you know what I mean? But if they've only been at jobs for a few months and they're bouncing quite a bit, that's not the best indication, I've noticed, because it seems like they typically, unless you can go back and check on all these ones, they might be doing something. Like they might be stealing, they might be making people mad, all those kind of things. So, but what I'm trying to get at is the core, right? I always kind of say this, you know, I'm part of the monkey too, right? We can kind of train a monkey to do our job, but it's the morals, right? It's the ethics. It's they're polite. They're they're not spitting on the customer's feet, when they're in front of them, right? That's all I look at that and I would say that's all that's mommy and daddy stuff, right? Mommy and daddy need to teach you that kind of stuff, morals, ethics, and cleanliness, and your habits. But I would definitely, if somebody has the will, that's the big thing, right? They want to learn. And I look at it like I'm a slow learner too. But as long as you're trying, right? Like I had one guy I hired. He he was a guy that I used to do stuff with, and I worked with him and he was always like, if I could just work with you, man. And I'm like, all right. So I finally made it happen, right? And I noticed that, I mean, he was only like 3 months in. And he's just like, I need to go back to, he did a roofing job back in the days. I should go back. I should go back to roofing. He's like, I'm no good at this. And I'm like, dude, I'm like, if you keep saying this, I'm like, you're not. You know what I mean? Like, you cannot keep saying this. I can't do it. I can't do it. I don't know what I'm doing. And I always tried to explain to him, like, hey, man, it took me a year just to kind of understand what was going on, right? It took me 5 years to feel like I'm the man. So, but I would definitely, if I was looking at, like I said, I'd be checking their vehicle. I'd be checking, like, it'd be nice to know, do they like the outdoors? Smoking can be an indication sometimes of certain things. And it does become sometimes it can be a little bit of a problem, especially if you're buying brand new vehicles, things like that. Now you can tell them not to and stuff like that, but it can be distractive. But I had one guy, he snookered me pretty good. I didn't know his history. And, and it's always kind of weird. I've noticed this even when I was in high school. I don't know why. Sometimes the biggest guys are the most babyest guys. You know what I mean? You see a big dude and you go, oh man, we gotta hire him. We gotta hire him, man. Look, he's built like a tank. I mean, like, he could lift up those 6-inch springs all day by himself. And I've had those guys be the most, like, I'm on the other end and I'm like, are you lifting? Like, it's still, and I'm like, God, lift. So just some helpful little things, but like I said, I wouldn't look at so much. Even I don't know why. If anybody has anything, throw it in the comments. But I would be honest that I've hired with people that have had experience, and they have had to be probably almost some of the worst. Not always. I'm not saying every, but I darn near 9 times out of 10, they were about the worst ones. I had one guy that had way more years than I had experience. I mean, he was like 20 years experience, and he was the worst installer I have ever seen. Everything he always did was way too tight. The track was way too tight. And I had another guy that supposedly got fired. Big dude. Always sounded like he knew what he was talking about, right? He'd always say that he supposedly got fired from his last job because he couldn't do the PMs correctly. That should have been an indication, like almost like a joke. Like, how do you not do preventative maintenance correctly? You walk around, you spray some oil, you're not filling out the paperwork right? I mean, like, what's going on here? Well, I slowly learned that he'd be shooting nails and trim and be shattered, and he'd just leave it. Very sloppy, very sloppy. So it's almost like I'd rather take somebody that has a good heart, that doesn't do a lot of talking. Does ask questions. Questions are fine, right? I'm always about that, but doesn't have that cockiness, right? That cockiness is like, oh, I know what I'm doing. Look, I would never come to your job site and do that. You know what I mean? I always encourage it. That there's a business card somewhere right up on that ledge there from Josh, and I learned stuff from him. I think he learned a few things from me. I learned a few things. I'm grateful. You know what I mean? I think you always have to be a student and willing to learn. But the, not gonna lie, Cap that runs the shop. I mean, he was the guy that he was taking a while, and it crossed my path because when you're in that hustle and bustle, oh my gosh, we gotta make money, we gotta be efficient, we gotta work those late hours. Well, there was that point where I was like, I don't think this guy's gonna make it, right? But he turned out to be the best one because, for one, honesty. That's the big one. Being honest, truthful, showing up every day. I mean, that's why he's got the name Cap, right? Captain America. That's him. The guy that puts his body over the grenade, that's him. You know what I mean? That's honest, that's trustworthy, everything, right? Way better than the guy that's knifing you, right? That might be doing some stuff with your wife or something, or is got stuff going out the back door, right? Had plenty of those. Holy moly, you guys woke up. What's going on? Doing Christmas until just sit on the floor, Kevin. Yeah, Dave, was this older come to realize? Yes, Tanner, this has got 5, the interviews. He says, if it's really an emergency, dude, me and Kevin are like on the same wavelength. I always wanted to do this, right? I was listening to a guy on a YouTube channel or whatever, and I remember him talking about, I think he was doing what the heck was it? He was in the trucking industry, right? He was doing big moving, like huge equipment, huge stuff that crossed the state, right? And I remember he was saying one day I'm on the phone and he's like, I was so over it. I literally wanted to. He said he actually literally did. He said I literally took my phone out the window of my truck. I let it go. And he said, I had to go buy a new phone. He's like, I was so over it. And I think it's funny because Kevin brings that up. And I sit here and I go, oh, hey, we got 3 likes. If you guys don't mind, hit the like button. I appreciate it. So anywho, I was thinking about that though, but I always wanted to do this, right? Because some of you guys maybe haven't experienced this yet, but in the business, it can grind on you. You know what I mean? It can really grind on you after a while. Phone call after phone call after phone call after phone call after phone call. And it's never somebody calling saying, hey man, I just want to make sure, did you get my check? Because, I want to make sure you got paid. How's your day going? You having a good day? Sweet. All right, cool, man. Hey man, thanks for the Christmas bonus. Hey, thanks for this, or hey, thanks for that. Thanks for putting some fuel in my truck, or let me use the fuel, or it's always like, I got a problem. I got a problem. I got a problem. When can you get here? How soon can you fix this? When could you do this? When can I get my estimate? And I literally always wanted to put on there, I wanted to do my phone one time. I always wanted to be like, hi, thank you for calling Affordable Door and Gate. If this is an emergency, please hang up and call 911. If this is a non-emergency, please leave a message after the tone. Thank you. Beep. Oh, man. So it's kind of one of those things like you can train them a little bit, right? But, when you're dealing with customers, I mean, to this day, customers are all over the way. I mean, we got some builders love to email. They want everything documented. Everything's email. And then you got other customers that's like phone call after phone call after. I called you. Why didn't you pick up? Yeah. Dude, I'm 20 feet up in the freaking air with my winding bars, or maybe a Sure-Winder, or maybe a spring turner, So, I mean, like, it's like, that's why I always, I'm a big fan. I always like text. I really do, because it's like, it takes out that whole ringing, and then they get irritated. And then, I mean, sometimes you gotta leave voicemail. I get it. You gotta leave voicemail because it's easier, and then a phone call is worth it. But it's documented. I like it because then, otherwise, I mean, I used to get people that send me addresses and stuff. I'd whack those. I mean, I screw those things so far out, you know what I mean? And I'd be like, I don't know. So I had to get a phone recording system. That way the secretary, because sometimes I've had that too, right? The secretary, you're trying to explain it, you're in a rush, right? You're driving down the road, me. Big diesel truck, I'm so cool. Ooh, I gotta go, man. And it's like, you know, you're like, hey, you know, can you? And well, what they say? What's the problem? What's going on? I don't know. I don't know. It's on the phone recorder. You know as much as I know. Listen to the phone recorder. Everybody knows everything. You know what I mean? I always wanted to do that so bad. Maybe one day I'll still, you know. If this is an emergency. Eric says, I could never do a lease. Maybe, but maybe you could. You got to think. You got to think. Sometimes you got to think big, you know. And the thing is, you know, so like the lease, right? What always got me, what always I finally started looking at when you look at life a little, when you're always kind of looking at it outside, you know, outside of the box, is, and don't get me wrong, lease is not a good fit for everybody, right? I mean, some people are Donald Trumps. Some people are Dave Ramsey's. Some people are Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. It all depends on where you're at and your threshold of pain and all this other kind of stuff, right? I think it's like probably like a girlfriend, right? Or a wife. It's like, what's your flavor? What's your taste? What do you like for hair? I mean, everybody's different. Everybody's different. Tall, skinny, thick, you know, wintertime, gotta stay warm. You know, it all changes, right? And so, but with the lease, what was beautiful is, like I said, they were like incorporated oil changes. It's one of those things you just pay it and forget it. And one thing I noticed in business is what really helped me out in business is the more you can get where it's just a payment and you get to deal with something new because you're skimming off the top. Sometimes that's the best. Not always, but if you can lease it, rent it, because now you have, what was beautiful about it is now you have a fixed payment. But if you go buy that car that's 8 years or 10 years old, right, truck or whatever it is, and up for us Michigan people, we have this thing called salt. We're in the Rust Belt. Eats the cars away, right? So you don't know if you're gonna lose a brake line. So I mean, for me, it was like I had to have almost like 2 to 3 service vehicles, and I mean, it was always in rotation, right? Because that's what I was doing, and I mean, one was always in the shop, right? And then even the truck I got, right, that had whatever 120,000 on it, that I'm making a payment on, you know, it blows the head gasket. It's down for a whole month. And it's really tricky, right? Because I'm sitting here saying this right now, and I'm kind of going, some of this new stuff right now, you could have the same problem, right? It's always weird how they kind of screw you. Like I always hear everybody get screwed on the big trucks. You know what I mean? Like well, you know, yeah, you're right. We'll give you a loaner, you know, and it's like, okay, well, I bought maybe an F-250 or something, right? A Ford F-250. And you're like, so I need another, I mean, I'm making payments for a truck. I need a truck. I mean, the truck is why I bought the truck, to haul trailers and do work with, right? Well, we'll give you a Honda Civic. What am I going to do with that? You know what I mean? Like, you know, not always. I mean, sometimes I hear the little victory stories out there, but there's not a lot of them. It's always like, all we can do for a loaner is give you a little car, sedan. We can't give you a full-size truck. We're all out of those. Some bull crap. So it's always a weird, you know, I think that's why, I forget why that guy always said there was something about 10 years in the last year model. You know what I mean? And there is something to be said about that. It really is. When you got something that's got a lot of history on it and you can do your research, you know, you don't want to be that new one, man. I mean, everything I see right now with new, it seems like you're the guinea pig. I can't afford to be the guinea pig. I'm not that rich. But so the thing was, right? Never do a lease. So here was the thing, right? What always got me was about an airplane. When I heard the airplane theory, right? When I go, hey, would you want to own a Boeing 57 or I don't know the numbers, right? You go, no, I don't want to own no big old Boeing airplane, like, right? I don't want to own that. I don't want to fly it. I don't want to fuel it. I don't want to put tires on it. I don't want to do the maintenance and the inspections and all that crap. Right. You don't. But you want to ride it, right? And you want to go where you want to go and you know, enjoy your vacation, right? Oh yeah, I do. Well, that's how sometimes in business, you got to kind of look at certain things, vehicles, right? Equipment, right? I need to use it. I need it to do a good job. I need to be efficient. I need it to work when I need it to work. And that's why sometimes I talk about the contractor vortex. It's a super hard balance. It really is. Because all of a sudden you can pick up on work and then you think, I need my life to get easier. I need more time. So you think you're going to buy that other truck that's going to make your life that much better because now I can do personal. I got a personal truck to now I got a business truck. But the business truck is kind of lacking, right? It's like, you really should be using your personal, but then you don't want to because the personal's got nice leather in it. So you're like, I really don't want people riding in this, so now you got to store it, or now you're not going to use it, or, it just gets to be very complicated sometimes. Rich B's in the house. What's up, Rich? Hope you're doing good. Things won't go back to normal to January 6th, 2025. I hope so. I don't know. I don't think we're going to be out of the waters yet. You know what I mean? I just watched another video talking about how interest rates are coming down, but yet the housing interest rates are going up. Inflation. I think inflation is going to come back on the rise, unfortunately, especially with the tariffs. And I'm not saying the tariffs are bad. I mean, whatever. You know what I mean? It is what it is. I think it's just something we just got to eat it, man. I mean, I was just talking to a family member the other night and we're talking about the whole restaurants. Holy cow, you can't even go out to eat anymore. I mean, I'm like dodging. Like, I'm like, yeah, we'll go. I don't know if any of you guys got like a Red Robin. I like their burgers. I like Red Robin. I like their, what is it? Their, it's not their sweet potato. No, sweet potato fries? Sweet potato fries? Am I thinking of that? Sweet potato fries. But, when you think of it, by the time if you want to be the legit, right, you pay whatever it is, a $30 to $60 meal for just maybe two of you. And then time you add a tip on it, every time I see that tip, I go, man, I am in the wrong business. Like, I am getting a job here. Like, I only got to work 20, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 45 minutes on a table, and I'm going to make, $25 to $45, whatever. I'm like, I'm in the wrong. Like, the tip is what's killing. It's like, dude, even though you don't have to, but they do a good job for the most part. And it's worth, hey, I'm always generous. I like to give people nice tips too, especially if they did a decent job on, Christmas and all that. But it's almost like I look at it and go, I got these kids with me. We're not going to we ain't going to no Red Robins. We go to Chick-fil-A. We go to McDonald's. I hate McDonald's. I can eat their food, but I just hate the service. Oh. Things won't go back. Rich says that's called the need to work. Tony's in the house. Tony, hope you had a good day. We're getting freezing rain up here a little bit. It just started tonight. It was raining during the day. What's the weather down there? It's weird. I'm over here, but I'm talking to this. Hello. Ain't nobody there. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Hey, Tony. Rich B's go. Eric says, what's he got? What's he got? Would you hire someone with a falling apart Ford Ranger with empty bottles of brake and power steering fluid hidden behind the seat? An alarm clock taped to the cage cluster? I mean, it probably wouldn't be like, it all depends, right? Because I mean, let's use this for an example, right? Caleb that works with me, I love Caleb. And he's young, he's starting out. I get all that. I get it, right? I mean, I used to drive a Ford Escort to the shop I used to work at, right? I used to write on the truck, right on the hood, on the very top and the side of the what do you call it? It's like the beam by the glass and the trunk, right? I used to write everything I did to that vehicle on it with permanent marker. It was a white vehicle. I remember I had the cylinders, right? It was a 4-cylinder. I had cylinder and I had compression on it. People laughed their butt off, right? But I had all my documentations right on the car. You know what I mean? And I didn't care. I was working at, of course I was working at a shop. I mean, I was just starting out in life. I didn't care. It was just a beater to get me back and forth. Otherwise, I think at the time I had a 94 or 96 Dodge Ram. I had a Cummins, but that was kind of that thing again, right? Big old fancy truck, right? But it sucks a lot of fuel. And so I didn't want to drive it and the wear and tear and the tires and all that kind of stuff. So now I bought myself a little Ford Escort. I got it from a guy I worked with there for a song and a dance. I mean, it was really cheap. But I remember I just started writing everything down. People walk past like, "What the? Is that your compression or your cylinders?" I'm like, "Yeah." At least anything I needed. I had all the money tallied up, how much money I put into it, for parts and stuff. So, I mean, it just all depends, right? That's why sometimes I think it even depends on like your demeanor, right? I think you can go like, so like what always throws me is that how do I say it? Maybe somebody can put it, maybe Kevin or somebody can put it in there. How do you like you build this character, right? I think it's confidence is what I'm trying to say. You build confidence. So like a builder I know, does some red steel and stuff like that. The dude drives around in a minivan. Always, that's how their place works, right? The big bosses always get the brand new ones. They trickle down, and he's like second in line, sometimes third, right? Depending on whatever. No labels on this thing. No, I'm the big builder. I drive a big fancy truck. Nothing. Nothing. But I mean, as soon as you see this dude pop out of the van, you're like, son of a, it's game time. Like he means business. And he's over there and he's like, what's going on over here? Your door's crooked. I'm like, no, it's not. I can tell by my eyes it's crooked. I'm like, I'll get up there. Sure enough, put a level on. Son of a gun, it is crooked. We'll get it fixed. No problem. Thanks. It's good harassment. It's actually good harassment. I enjoy them. But like I said, I've watched this dude deal with these $1 million customers, right? And they're driving, the one, I remember one had a Ford Raptor, similar to mine. She was a girl. And I remember this dude just pops out and he's just, boom. Yep, we're going to get that handled. We're going to get that taken care of, right? Like, I mean, you could just tell, you're like, this dude knows his stuff, man. He's on it, you know what I mean? And it didn't matter, you know what I mean? Like, it just didn't matter. So I think where I was kind of going to a little bit was like with Mr. Caleb, right? He got a Ford Ranger, got a effing Ford Ranger, and but I mean the kid's got a harder goal. He just works. He doesn't complain. He's always asking. He's asking the right questions. Not, oh, hey, when are we gonna take a break? Are we gonna get lunch today? Not stupid things. Like, I mean, it's like you always got to force it. Like, hey, do you want to take? I'm fine. I'm fine. We can do whatever. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, we already been working for 6, 8 hours on it. Probably should, stuff like that. That's the demeanor. Like it's good. It's good. I think it all depends on how you pitch yourself. I always kind of look at it like I think we're kind of like in Hollywood, right? Like I always think I go or we're characters, right? So it depends on how you pitch it. You know what I mean? Guy shows up in a nice fancy car in a business suit. Yeah, he's probably not going to be hanging doors for us. You know what I mean? Like I think you need to go down the road to the attorneys. But I had a lot of guys come in, right? You want to turn somebody off, right? Sweatpants, flip flops. Not when you're trying to get hired. No, 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 and no driver's license. That's always even better. You know what I mean? Oh, I got no driver's license. Oh, what do you think we do? We just sit around the shop all day and rake leaves? Tony, that's right, Rich, on the January 6th comment. It's got, hey, Tony, Rich B. The Jackers are the biggest. Oh, yeah. That's what Rich has got. I'm telling you, man. I just remember even a dude in high school. This one guy turned into my business partner at the time. We were just friends, though. And he was the scrawniest dude. Scrawniest. I mean, and he would pick up some massive weight. Like, I mean, he could stick with me all day long. And I remember we were moving a motor one day from a vehicle off the ground into the back of a truck or something. So there was like 3 or 4 of us. And I remember the dude that was doing it, right? It's his motor, whatever. He goes to pick it up. I mean, he is the weakest side. And I'm like, dude, you are the biggest dude here. And you're over there, oh. And it's like, we got Scrawny over here. And Scrawny is, I mean, holding his own. Tony's guy says those are the hard ones to get, like cat. Oh yeah, that's why. Like I said, I think I look at it more about like the morals and the ethics of people, because there was a time. There was a time when I was hiring. I was looking for it was experience, right? Experience, experience, experience. Now I didn't have it. It was tough too because it's something I kind of noticed is I could be kind of crazy talking about this, right? I could be off the wall. Like I said, I didn't put a lot of preparation into this and a lot of notes. But what it always felt like for me, which was really difficult, was I was the young buck. I was the youngest one. So it's harder for hardened, seasoned guys to get them to respect a younger guy. And then if I was to hire younger than me, mind you, I was in my, I'm in my 20s. That's is like really hard because you're dealing with people that, live with mom and dad or whatever and live in the basement and they don't have responsibilities and they don't really care. And it's kind of like, F you today. I'm not coming in. The weather's crappy. I'm not feeling good. I had a little sniffle. Things like that. So then you try to hire the guys that were almost, I don't want to be mean or say, but it was almost like they're rejects, like it was like they would surface to you and you're like, you got experience? And they're like, yeah. And you're like, I've been doing it for this, and I don't know why. It's almost like they lie to you. It's like I remember one guy, I hired, he was a foreman for a little bit, but right from the get-go, like, I remember I went and looked at one of his jobs right down the road, and I was like, he's using all kinds of different rollers. I was like, why has he got like did the box like why didn't he call me? You know what I mean? Say, hey man, there's like the rollers aren't right in here. Or they didn't send her. Just all these weird little things. The track wasn't quite straight. Just like kind of but like not devastating, right? But those are like those little nuggets that you get and you go, okay, I can, it's okay. It still runs. It's like we'll address it at another time, and then just weird stuff, I think sometimes I don't know what the bandage is, what kind of drugs make it, but this one guy, I mean, he would start coming in with bandages on his hands, and his hands were so swollen, and I should have caught on more that he was into something, and he was just it was like he was just all over the place. He was just all over the place. I mean, it was like one day's good, one day's bad, one day's good, one day's horrible, one day's it was just a roller coaster of emotions, and so that's really tough. I mean, that's really tough, and especially when I'm young in the business, I'm out there just selling, and that's like I was just telling somebody the other day. I said it's not a problem. For me, it's not a problem for selling. You know what I mean? It's like for here, I mean, we could probably bring on 2 to 3 more service techs easily, easily. But it's like, do you want to? Do you want to go down that path and another service vehicle and stuff coming up missing, another thing to track, or they don't show up for a couple days because they're doing something whatever, and you're like, well, I got these customers lined up. That's what gives you your paycheck. And I've had it all. Like I've seen like I've had it all. You get some of the guys too that'll turn into, they don't want to push a broom or something, right? And then the end of the week comes and like, well, I can't live on 30 hours. And you're like, okay, but I told you could like push a broom, you could clean out a truck, you could wash a truck, you could do this. I mean, like stuff that I would do. I'm not trying to put you out like in the freezing cold with a frozen bucket of water. You know what I mean? Like stuff that just needs to be done. And then they end of the week, well, I'm not getting 40 hours. Right. But you won't stay an extra hour or two every day to do stuff or clean up or get another job started. You just want to go home. You just deal with all kinds of crap. Man. It's like, it's annoying. Eric says insurance is way more expensive on a lease. It is. It is. Insurance is more. Insurance is more. But like I said, when it all changes. It all changes. It all depends on your level and your threshold, but you also got full coverage. You know what I mean? So, I mean, yeah, but it takes, unfortunately, it takes money, right? If you want to play, you got to pay. I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, I haven't seen nobody running a horse and buggy besides the Amish, but, normally to a service call. So no matter what, you still got to put insurance on a vehicle, and you got to still put plates on a vehicle, and you still got to put fuel, and you got to fix it, and it's just a different level. You know what I mean? But yes, it does cost more. But I always try to look at it like this. I always tell myself, I always tell my kids, I say, let's just say you were being, whatever you were doing, you're getting $10,000 a day. I said, do you think you really care about the socks? I said, do you really think you'd care? I said, if you're making $10,000 a day, I said, I'd just buy a new car. I probably wouldn't even do an oil change. I'd just buy a new car. Be like, oil change? Screw it. Let's get another one. Socks? I ain't washing those stinking socks. Just go on Amazon, buy hundreds of those socks. You know what I mean? Like, so it's sometimes it's about the money, right? If you got that money, but like I said, most time what I've always noticed, it's either time or money. That's always, when I got the time, I got very little money. When I got the money, I got very little time. So it's a hard balance. Rich says family of 4 at Red Robin is probably, it's got to be more a family of 4 at Red Robin's. It's more like we're talking like when you walk out the door, probably with tip and everything, it's $120. Especially, depending on what they get for meals. I mean, it's expensive, man. It's like, and like I said, it's one thing the food is here, right? But then when you try to do, you do the 20% tip or 25 or whatever, you're just like, oh, that Tippy. You guys got to watch the Tippy video, right? The one where the guy's at the shopping thing, right? And he's trying to look it up. I don't know if it's on YouTube. He's like, you want to give Tippy? And he's asking all this. And the guy's like, no. He's hitting the buttons. No. And there's like Tippy Jr. comes out. And there's Tippy Jr. And the guy just walks away. It's a funny little clip. I love it. Eric says, my mom works in the food industry and she lives off tips. Says when she works as a server restaurant, pay her, $2.75 per hour because it's a job with tips. The restaurant doesn't want to pay minimum wage. Yeah, the tip people, like I said, I have no doubt they work for it. You know what I mean? Like, it ain't like they're making bank, right? You know what I mean? It's like, but it's one of those things where it's difficult when you're the customer, especially if you got kids. By the time you go out and then you're like, you got a bill that's whatever, $80, $100, and you got to do a tip on top. You're like, whew, man, it adds up. And especially if you want to be generous about it, especially if they did a good job. Whoops, I hit something there. Where are we at? What do we got? Eric Eric says my minimum tip is 20%, and that can go up for food service, and always cash money. Well, my buddy took me. We went out to. He took me out to breakfast, and he of course grabbed the slips. He knows how I work. So I'm like, I'm getting old, man. So I'm like looking over there. I go, dude. I said, where'd the slips go? He goes, because I got them. He said, I know how you work. I said, whew. I said, man, I thought I was losing my mind. Like they just did the Houdini or she had to revise something on it. And he goes, no, I got it. And I said, you don't have to do that. Obviously, I was expecting to pay, but he's like, no, you help me out, blah, blah. And I said, well, let me at least get the tip, right? So he tells me, he says, it's going to be like $26 between two of us breakfast. So breakfast food's cheaper. And so I leave the money. Well, then she rings it up where it was like 28 something. Oh man. So I went over there, threw a couple more dollars down, just to make sure. And I was thinking, it's Christmas, 20 Liftmaster. Hey y'all, what's up? What's up, Evan? What'd you have? Evan, weren't you doing dinner? Supper? Supper. What was for supper? Anything good? Maximum debit card machine is normally 20% up here. Wow. Huh. Interesting. What's Eric got here? Eric's got... Oh, I see the meatloaf popped up. I don't think I mind meatloaf. Just all depends. Who cooks it, who makes it, all that kind of stuff. Where it comes from, you know, meatloaf ain't bad. They always make fun of it, meatloaf. What does it say? Eric says, I've shown up to work with a bicycle and a basket full of tools. Hey, like I said, I think that's why it all depends on, you know, like I said, it just depends on your demeanor. And so I'd honestly, you know, I'd rather you show up with a bicycle and a basket full of tools than show up with like a car that's got like, you know, 6 inches of dog hair in it and beer cans and, you know, like you know, it's always kind of weird to me. This was always kind of one of those things that changed my life on perspectives. So my one buddy, my good friend through high school, he drove this one, I think it was an 86. I think it was an 86 Chevy square body, right? Red. It had the trim on it. It was like the deluxe version, you know, for the year, right? The truck had rust on it. I mean, it wasn't severe, but it was good. It was like the cab corners were pretty rusty, you know, I mean, rusted out. There was some over the fenders and stuff like that. But I tell you what, he took such good care of this truck. I mean, like in my mind, I go, like when I was younger, you know, I'm going, if a vehicle has rust, I go, darn cat. I go, you know, I'm not waxing it. Like, I'm not gonna wax it. I get, you know, like, it's rusty. Why would I wax it? But I tell you what, this guy would wax this thing and he kept it clean. He vacuumed it, cleaned the floors. And I mean, I would ride in his truck all the time. And I thought, damn, this is a nice truck. You know what I mean? Even in the parking lot, it just had this glisten to it, right? Even though it had rust on it. But it's just the fact that he kept it clean. I mean, that was one of those things that was like one of those things in my head that I always told myself, man, you can have a crappy vehicle, you keep that thing clean, and people have a different perspective. They really do. I mean, it's like, so I don't know. That just changed. That was something that always changed in my life where I always thought, you know, I remember him waxing it, and I'm thinking, waxing it, it's got rust on it, dude. Like, you're going to get it all clogged up in the thing. But it was a clean truck. I mean, it was clean. It was nice to ride. It smelled good. It was nice. So I think that's why it's like one of those things. You can have really crappy stuff, right? Old, junky, whatever. But you keep it clean, keep it nice. But like that girl I dated one time, she had a dog. She had an animal issue, right? I remember she had a tattoo. That should have been the first indication. She had a tattoo, I think, of her dog, right? I didn't think nothing at first, right? But we went on a date, you know, and I mean, I sat in the seat and there was hair wrapping around me. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, this thing has never, you know, and I get it. I got animals. You know, I had a buddy, you know, I get it. Dogs and stuff, they leave fur, you know what I mean? But this has got to be 6 years worth of fur, you know? Like I could have probably just took a vacuum and like stuck it in the window, right? And rolled the window up, and it would have like sucked half of the hair out of it at least, just because how much was floating in this thing. I think it kind of goes back down to that whole like see, I got my ropes off, don't I? My ropes are off? Maybe not. It's kind of like when you got people, right? We all do it, right? You know, we got a big stain or something on us, right? I mean, you're always like looking at the stain. You're like, you got a stain. Hey. Fur ball. Shouldn't work. Meatloaf. Bat. Bridges got bat out of hell. What is Tony got here? What is this, Tony? Stop right there, but we gotta we go any further? I gotta know. Oh, okay. I know. Do you love me? Will you love me forever? I think Evan. I think Tony's talking about the date or something. That I was mentioning. Tony says, "Bat out of hell." Oh, meatloaf, bat out. Okay. What's Evan got? I feel like I want to click on these, but it's not that software, so it's kind of weird. Let's see. What's Evan got? He says, he says, I only know that I do anything for love song. He says, so I was really confused. That's right. Too young, he says, to understand reference. Young and young. Kevin, you got to remind me too. Where are you out again? Where are you out of? I forget. State and all that. Ta-da. Tony, what'd you get? Did you get anything? The van all running good? You got tires all good? What's going on? Anything? Work on anything today? Oh, that's right. Okay, Indiana. I got to remember Kevin's basically Tony's neck of the woods. Gotta remember that. One day I'm gonna write that. I'm gonna get a Rolodex. On a Rolodex so I can have everybody's like, bam, information. Tony's got vans running good. I went and got gas. Ooh, that's right, man. He said I did not fill it up. We were having a little joke to bring some of you guys up to speed. Tony had he got some repairs done, and then he ended up got some new tires. Got some new shoes. Yeah, got some new shoes for the van. And I was telling him, I said, about that time, you know how this works. About that time, you put the new tires on there, the transmission's going to puke out. I said, don't put a full tank of gas, because when you put a full tank of gas, that's when something else will puke out. It is. I've had it happen all these times, man. I tell you, many times. I never would, it always seemed like every time I had to do a fuel pump, always a full tank of gas. That's why on a Ford Ranger, the Dodge might have it too. You can get access to them. The Dodge might have access to that fuel pump. I can never understand why people don't make accesses to the fuel pump in vehicles. I only seen it in one car that I remember right off the top of my head, and I had a Dodge Stealth. Yeah, Dodge Stealth. It's basically what a Mitsubishi 3000, right? Only one I ever seen that had actually a hatch to come off. And I was like, now that's ingenious. Like, we know the fuel pump's going to need service one day, but this Ford Ranger, of course, the straps were so old. The truck had so many miles on it. I'm out at the shop, right? I'm like, I am not dropping this gas tank. And I know it was all 3/4 or more full. So I'm not dropping this gas tank to break all the lines. And good thing I didn't. Because I found out with the Ranger, for whatever reason, the Ford Ranger actually has a impact sensor. So it's supposed to be if you're in an accident, it's supposed to trigger to shut the fuel pump off. So I cut a hatch, to get to the fuel pump. Couldn't figure out. I'm like, why am I not getting power? I forget if I made a phone call to somebody and they told me, said, hey, check under the dash, or there's sometimes a fuel shut off. And sure enough, it was popped. I popped it back. It wouldn't stay popped, whatever. So I had to I don't know, I did taped it for the time being or something until we got rid of it. That was sad. I should have never got rid of that truck. I wanted to really take it up north and make it just a camp. That truck just served me. It made me so much money over the years and just never let me down. Just always constantly running. I guess it did break down the one time in Kalamazoo, but spark plug wire came off. Cut a hole, so Rich B says, cut a hole in the bed. I did. I've been lucky, that I've never had one that was like leaking and I caught something on fire, because I always think about it when I start cracking into it. I always make sure I got a fire extinguisher. But I'm always like, it's in the back of my head going, ooh, this could be bad. Eric's guy says, I got a ratchet strap in my gas tank. Nice. Holding that puppy up, man. Keep her going. Keep her going. Dun, 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 dun. Evans guy says, any word on that lifted garage? Oh, that one. So winner, chicken dinner. Evan, I think yours was the best about taking those. I mean, your comment was spot on, man, about taking those doors down. I did mention it to them. I didn't hear a response back. So I don't know what they ended up deciding to do on that. But if I do hear anything, I will definitely let you know. So I'm not really quite sure. Not quite sure what's going to happen with that. Eric Scotty says, what year was that truck? I believe that truck was, I feel like my first instinct is either 04 or 08. And that one had the 4-cylinder in it. I think it was 04, 08, because I'm trying to think of what years I had. I think I had a 96, 97. I don't know why I really didn't like the 96 or 97. I know what really got me one time, kind of made me mad. It was like a good mad, but we were going down to, we were doing a job down in Battle Creek, Michigan, and it's just super hot summertime. And it was for that one big job we did. It was for a big builder that I lost money on, and we ended up, I had to stay in some hotel with some dude, and I just pretty much hired this guy, and he knew how to read blueprints. I didn't know how to read blueprints, and so we're staying down in this hotel. We're trying to get this job done. And we'd come back like for the weekend, right, to spend time with our families. And we constantly were getting stuck in traffic jams and no air conditioning. No air conditioning. So, I mean, we're like, the windows are down, right, in this little Ford Ranger. We got our little suits on, business, whatever you call it, work jackets, or not jackets, but T-shirts, button-up T-shirts. I mean, we're just like hanging in traffic jams, like outside, like watching these cars go by with their windows up. We're like, air conditioning. Oh, it'd be so nice to have air conditioning. I mean, I would have even took one of those portable fans like I got now, the Milwaukee's or the DeWalt's. And we went back, I think on the third trip when we were pretty much done with the job. Somebody come over and I said, man, you know what, really? I said, this truck's AC don't work. I said, it sucks. I said, I gotta take it in. I said, we're gonna have to see about getting it recharged. I said, because we're dying going down here in this thing. But we're taking the old Ford Ranger because she obviously gets good gas mileage. It hauls a few tools that we need because we already took bulk, everything down there. I don't remember if we hauled doors down there or got them dropped off. I don't remember how we did that. God, I hope we didn't haul them. That was a long ways. And so anywho, one guy walks over and he goes, well, you gotta, like, I think he had to pull on the knob to make the AC activate. And I mean, I watched him, like, we're sitting there, we just got back from, and he goes, yeah, you just gotta pull that knob. And I could hear it, right? I could hear the AC, the compressor kicking. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? I'm like, no freaking way. And sure enough, it starts blowing out. I wouldn't say it was like super ice cold, but it was a heck of a lot better than sitting in that traffic with the, 80, 90 degree day it was. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like that's all it took. So that always kind of turned me off about with the 96, 97. It had the kind of like the, what did it have? It had like a taupe, I think, or tan color interior. It was all right. It was kind of comfy. It just, I don't know. It was like, I think that one was a 6-cylinder too. And it just felt real sluggish, for what it is. I mean, I know it's not a hot rod, but it was weird. Our four-cylinder one felt like it had more power than our 6. And we raced them one time and they were neck and neck. There was no difference. So I don't know. Maybe one's old, I don't know. And I think I had an 02. I think it was 02. And that one was a stick. It had the weird headlights, weird front headlights. They're kind of googly eye looking. I don't know how you say it. They look, I don't know, it kind of looked more like a girl's car to me, And that one was a stick. That was kind of fun. It had the 96 whatever had cloth. It had carpet and everything. It was carpet floor and everything. So it's kind of painted clean. The 02, I believe, was a stick. It had rubber floors in it, which was, I like the rubber floors. Easy to clean, sweep them out, mud, whatever, ice, snow. But I think our '08 was the favorite. It was '04, '08. I can't remember. That one was just a trooper, man. That thing just fired up. I love the way it sounded. I love the way it ran, it handled. Just a good, solid. 'Cause I think '08 was the last year. I think they made them for a while. Can't remember. But I feel like I've had 3 Ford Rangers. 3? I think I've had 3. 3 Ford Rangers in the fleet. Doo, doo, doo. Dun, 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 dun. Mine is a 95. 95. Yeah, I wonder what Caleb's is. I should ask him. He's got the extended cab. Man, I didn't have any extended cabs. I sure do wish I would have had an extended cab, though, back in the day. Because I tell you what, like, the problem with the Ford Rangers I found out is, like, especially when you're hauling 2 grown men, and you're hauling, the worst part was in the wintertime. Because you have all your Carhartt stuff. And sometimes you know how it is. You don't want to wear the jacket while you're sitting in the truck. Well, you take it off. It's like, where do you put it, right? So luckily we had those compartments that open up on the side for the contractor tops. So we normally shove them in there. But, if you bring a cooler and you want, if you're making it like for us, we were making too long of drives. And so you'd be sitting there and you'd be like, man, I wish I had my cooler. Well, it's right behind in the bed. Like I wish I had my cooler. I got some string cheese or something in there I'd like to chew on. Where I think that extended cab would just be nice. Throw your little cooler back there. Just make it feel a little more humble. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Plane, Trains, and Automobile. Yeah, I know what that is. I watched that. It's a good movie. Evan says, I'm surprised Rusty isn't here. He's probably out there. He's burning that midnight oil. He's probably right out there with Tanner, and Rusty's probably either doing that, hanging out. He's either family or or he's still trying to tidy some stuff up. Eric says, I think the V6 has better gas mileage. It could. It's like for me, it's like I wouldn't hesitate to go back to another 4-cylinder. That 4-cylinder, we really romped on that thing. I mean, it wasn't even in my hands all the time. I mean, it was in technicians. That was the one that I think the transmission place was trying to fool us a little bit. But they, what did they do? We did a barter. We were going to change their springs, and they were going to do a transmission flush and service on our, change the filter and all that. And I remember they came, and I mean, they literally had a handful of stuff, right? And they're like, this all came out of your transmission. And I'm like, and the transmission always had this weird, how do I explain it? Like, it'd be like, you'd be like, and it would like slip for a second. You'd be like, and then catch in, It was kind of weird. But it never got worse. It never got better. And so in my head, when I seen that, and I'm, at the time we're just starting business, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, we can't have this truck go down right now. Like, we need to do everything we can to save this truck and keep this truck running. I mean, it's got our stickers on it. I mean, it's got the tires. We got the cab. We got the ladder rack built on it. And I remember my business partner was like sitting there. He's like elbowing me. He always did like the elbow trick. He's like elbowing me. He's like, dude. He's like, it's been fine. He's like, it hasn't gotten worse. Hasn't gotten better. Let's just keep driving it. And when it blows up, then we'll put a transmission in it. And I was like, yeah, that's not a bad idea. Let's do that. Like, why not, right? I mean, if we get another year out of it, and then the transmission's even newer, right? When we rebuild or put a transmission in it, and we got a year out of it. Yeah, let's do that. Shoot, we drove that thing for whatever it was, 5-6 years, and transmission never missed a beat. You know what I mean? Just solid, automatic. Just kept on going. But sometimes they do say, like the bigger motors and all that, right? You don't use as much 'cause it's not straining so hard. So, but I never really watched the gas. I know they did it okay, but they were loaded down, so they didn't really get good gas mileage. But they were better. The biggest thing is they were cheaper, right? The tires are cheaper, the brakes are cheaper, everything's cheaper. So they were nice for that. Tony says, I used to have a 92 Ford Ranger. Loved it. what year so Tony, did it have, yours probably, I'm assuming, didn't have an extended. I mean, the first Ford Ranger I remember was a Splash. A girl I used to work for, she was my boss. I worked for a no, yeah, I was in the produce section at a little small grocery store. And what was her? I think her name was Courtney or something. She was really nice. She was just a nice lady. She was a nice lady to work for. But she had a brand new Ford Splash, man, white, had some colorful thing on the side that said the Splash, and it had like the what do you call, kind of like a step side. And I think it was just a standard cab. But man, I looked at it. I always remember thinking that truck. I was like, golly, I really would like to have one of those trucks. You know, I don't know what I'd do with it. It's so small, but you know, I wasn't doing business or anything back then. But I always remember the Ford Splash. That was always the one, the white one. It was a beautiful truck, brand new, that she had. I don't remember. I think we got started on the Ford Rangers because we started out with a, oh boy, what was that? I think it was a 96 Ford. No, I'm sorry. It's 96 Dodge. What would they call it? What would that be called? I think it was just a van. I don't know if they call it a D. Anyways, it was a van. It was one of the bigger vans though. Um, I bought it from an auto parts store. Started out with that, and then I put too much money in that darn thing. Like a $3,000, $4,000 paint job. Just too much money. I mean, we got the ladder racks put on it. I mean, all this money on this van that had. I don't think it had a lot of miles. I think it was like 96 to 120 miles on it. But we were really rolling the dice. The worst part about it was uh, it did like a frame and subframe. So everything was framed except for the very back leaf springs. So that of course that's where they're coming through the floorboards or whatever in the very back because it was rusted. You using a new webcam, Dave? No, actually, I could have been screwing this up, but I haven't. I just turned the phone sideways because I know some people don't like it the vertical, but it's nice vertical for reading comments. When you do it this way, it's. I see you guys pop up, but I'll screw this up by touching this. So you got to have another device to watch. Like I got you on the phone, and then I'm using the computer to read the comments. But if I don't have the option with another device, I got to do it the vertical way versus the horizontal. I just didn't think I could do the horizontal. I felt like I kept trying, and it would never. Every time I try to activate the live, it would say, "Sorry, you got to turn your phone vertical." So I just start the live vertical. And I was watching another guy. I think I was watching the handyman. I think, and I was like, I like it vertical. I was like, I wish I could do vertical. I was like, let me try it. So I thought, I'll just give it a shot tonight. We'll try it out. And I just wanted to come on here too, and I wanted to basically wish everybody, a Merry Christmas because I know tomorrow's gonna be busy, and normally I do Tuesdays, but tomorrow's gonna be busy probably for myself. And I just thought, come on, it's Monday, all that, wish everybody a Merry Christmas and hope everybody has, everything goes as good as planned, and health and stuff is everything there, and lots of I'm normally not too much of a mushy gushy, you know what I mean, for the Christmas. To me, it's a good time to spend time with the family. That's for sure. You know what I mean? It's another day. It's another day, and it might be a way for them to push sales. I don't know. I don't know the conspiracy. Only one person knows. The guy upstairs. I don't have that magic rope like that Wonder Woman where I can wrap it around and get the truth. Not the man upstairs, just people down here. um, Eric Scott. Oh, I see that one too. The transmission on mine shifts really hard, and it has new. Was it Wines? Oh, Wines as it shifts. Maybe it's just how all old hydraulic transmissions work. It could be. Like I said, ours always had a weird slip to it. But it's just, we never did a major repair on those Rangers. We never, even the manual, there was nothing that ever locked up. They were just pretty much, I think, pretty much bulletproof, honestly. More money works less. Evan's got any New Year's resolutions? I don't have any. If anybody's got some, throw them in there. You know, I don't really get on that train too much. You know, obviously, what is it? They say like after the first, right? All the workouts places will be slammed. You know, all that. But I don't know. I'm always more like if you're gonna do it, you just need to do it. You know what I mean? I don't try to really set the whole dates. Not that it's not bad. I mean, it's good, but it's like why'd you wait? Why'd you wait all year till now? You know what I mean? Why'd you wait? Get her going. Do it now. Hopefully, this is gonna be a good year. We'll see how the economy turns out. I like what Papa Tony said. I like how he said this is Mr. T's. He's going out. This is gonna be his going out. I forgot how he worded it. You know, but he's gonna make. We'll see. We'll see. His hands. He's got a lot of barriers, man. You think about it. When you think about the whole system, there's a lot of layers to it. A lot of layers to an onion. Oh, Kevin's guy says more money, work less. Yeah, I think it's really important. Like I said, if you can really try to invest your money, try to make baby money. You know what I mean? That's what you got to do. I mean, I wish in a nutshell I could describe to some of you guys. You know, and the thing is that I'm not perfect at this at all either, right? I'm still learning. But like today, I'm meeting contractors at the rentals, and there's such a difference of like it feels like you're not chasing. I don't know what it is. And I was trying to think about it. Like I was thinking about you guys the other day, and I was thinking, what is it? Why does it feel like? Why do I? And I might be saying this wrong, and I don't mean it in a bad way, right? But I was thinking, why do I feel like there's like resentment in when you're doing the garage door sometimes, right? And I go, well, I was trying to I'm listening to the radio, bebopping down the road, and I'm thinking to myself, I go, well, I think what it is I sometimes look at it and I go, I don't like to waste my time. We only got so much time. I mean, we do. I mean, no matter how you skin it, we only have so much time on this green planet. And I just look at it and I go, it irritates me though. Like I think that's why I get a little bit grumpy sometimes, where like with the customers and stuff like that. Because sometimes I look at certain customers and whatever, and I think a lot of people brush it off. Oh, that's just part of business. Oh, well, how do we make it so it's not so much part of the business? It's going to happen, but but when you spend time, you do estimates, you go out there, you bring them color samples or something like that, and you do all this work sometimes, and then they use somebody else. And you're like, awesome, sweet, that was great, thank you. And then that job's done, right? And I always remember one guy sometimes telling me too, he says, you never get rewarded, which, I mean, I know this is kind of a nutshell. He says, but you never get rewarded for doing a good job. Right? Obviously, you don't have callbacks. You're not going back 20 times. But it's kind of the truth, right? If you do a really good job, right? And there's no way I know how to anyways to sabotage it, right? Cut a little slice in their spring so it only lasts so long. Breaks in like 3 years. I don't know. I think that spring should have lasted longer. I went on YouTube and they said the guy in there, he said it should be 8, 10, 15 years. More money, work less. I like it. I don't make them because I never keep them. I'm kind of with Tony. It's like you just got to start doing it slow. I'm very slow. I mean, that's not going to be like that day I'm going to the gym and stuff. You just got to slow, Some people do. Some people, if they keep it, that's awesome. It's not bad. Hey, you should always be writing down, right? I always do think you should write your goals down. You should write a list for your days and what you want planned and what you should do. I think you should do that. I think you should write maybe what you have planned or what you'd like to be at the end of the year, try to achieve, that's always good. Money-wise, whatever, vehicles, all that kind of stuff. So, all right, guys, I can't stay much longer. I'll probably be cutting out here shortly. Let me see if I can get through a few more of these. Dun, 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 dun. Do you have any pictures of your old Rangers? I think I did put it on an older video there, Eric. If I find it, I'll try to send it to you. But you might be able to look in my archives and it talks about the vehicles. I think I had some pictures of them on there. I think I had a Ford F-250 on there. And there was some of the Rangers. I forget what that video was called. What was that video? I think the video you're looking for is it was talking about working from a building to from your home, something titled like that, in my archives. But I got pictures on there. I think of the trucks parked. I think I had a couple of the Ford Rangers. I had racks on them, pretty sweet. Got them custom built. They work pretty good for hauling 16-foot doors, anything. Just get them up so you know not hauling them back. But if I find anything too, I'll try to send it. I think they're in my old phone and old stuff. More money. Donate them. Let's see here. I don't know. I'm just excited to go into next year and see how business turns out. Yes. I hope it goes pretty good. I don't know. I think it's a little bit gut wrenching right now because like I don't know. I don't know what's going to be the next thing that's going to ignite it. You know, a lot of the stuff comes from the big dogs and it trickles down. So like for us, we might see some new buildings going up, which is good. You know what I mean? Builders might go, hey, Republicans and yay, you know, this or that. But, you know, my one builder was telling me the one time when interest rates were like super low, you know what I mean? He was just like, dude, I would be spending so much money right now. It's ridiculous. They're giving it away. And so it's kind of weird to think like a lot of things comes off that Federal Reserve and that federal interest rate, right? So the federal interest rate, they lowered it again, right? But mortgage interest rates are creeping up or staying about the same. So that's not good. That's not good. So that's not going to make people move. So they might do more revamps. But I think that's why it's important why, in a nutshell, right, you need to start looking at, too, you need to look more at assets. See, that's one thing that's a problem sometimes, like in the business, too, right? You buy these things depreciate. Yeah, you can write them off, right? You can write them off, all this stuff, right? It's not that glorious. What's glorious is when you buy a chunk of land and in 3 or 5 or 6 years, it doubles in price because it takes less, you know, it takes more of that dollar's being devalued, right? The currency is being devalued, but you got something that works in twofold. You know what I mean? You're working on something that maybe is generating revenue for you. They're paying down the debt, everything, right? It's trickling. And now you got something too that if you want to sell it in 5 years or whatever and exchange it, it went up in value. Where when you buy a vehicle, you know, you can't do that, right? The vehicles just go down. That's why they always tell you, you buy a brand new vehicle, it's the worst, you know, that depreciates right away. It goes down in value. That was another thing with the lease. Sometimes in the vehicles, which was nice, is because that didn't go all on there's a whole game to this stuff. It's like trying to put the puzzles in the right, in the right spots. But, when you do the lease, what was nice is that you're not putting all that debt on your 100%. It might be like 50%. I can't remember but not 100%. So now let's say you were maybe going to go buy a house, well, now you don't show that at least when you go to the bank and they go, well, you only make this much and you got 2 car payments or 1 car payment and we don't think you qualify. Where if you got a lease, they only see half that debt. There's all these little nuances to these things, right? But I always try to think of it. I don't know why I think of it this way. I always think about my grandpa. He always used to tell me about the head of a beer. He said, he would always tell me the head of the beer. And that time I didn't know, I was a young kid. I said, head of beer, what are you talking about? And he says, you ever have the head of a beer? And he goes, when they pour it and that head, that foam, he goes, that's the best. In business and life, you're always trying to get the head of the beer. You know what I mean? Like you're always trying to get that top. You need that cash flow. You need that, you need cash flow. Cash flow is king. But you want the cream, you want the top. And so it's hard. I don't know. It's just, there's a lot of stuff that goes to it. The system, the game is rigged, you guys. Who am I trying to think of? George Carlin? Is it George Carlin? The game is rigged. You're not part of the club. It's one big club and you're not part of it. Watch that guy. He'll teach you some stuff. He's passed though. Man, he'd have some stuff to say nowadays. Yeah, I'm excited though too. I'm excited to see. I just don't know what's going to be like a trigger. You know what I mean? Swan song. Oh, Rich got the swan. Is it the swan song? Eric's got try not to get scammed by the government. Oh yeah, man. They like your money. There's been some of you guys, I don't know. I don't know if that applies to you up there in the old Canada, Evan, but they got this was it the BOI bio they wanted us to fill out. Now supposedly we're not supposed to, but they're gonna try to repeal it. I don't know. The government wants our information. They want to know everything. So you do it, you don't do it. I've been getting questions about it. I've sent some people some videos on it. I'm like, as far as I know, no, you do not have to fill it out. But I know some people are starting businesses and they're asking because on the forums, that they're filling out online, it asks them to fill it out. But yet they deemed it unconstitutional, so we don't have to. But it's supposed to be on a state level. Evans, hopefully new government next year so people don't have to pinch pennies too much. Yeah, boy, man. I'm probably more like the guy that's the glass is half empty versus half full. That's kind of my I don't know. I just don't. I guess we won't know. We don't know. I just keep going. I don't see. I think the one thing we normally have to remember is, in a nutshell, sometimes that stuff doesn't help us directly. I think of it, I guess maybe a way to kind of explain it, right? It's like maybe it's like watching a football game, right? It's exciting. You're rooting for a team. You're really hoping they win. You really hope, man, there's that excitement, right? But ultimately, watching it doesn't pay your bills. It doesn't help give you any more freedom, right? It relieves you, right? It gives you that dopamine, right? It knocks you out. Hey, I do it too, right? You got food, does it? Watching certain stuff online, YouTube, everything, right? But that's kind of like how I look at sometimes like the government a little bit, right? I mean, I'd rather have somebody as a good coach. I mean, it's good to have a good coach. But I think in my head, I go, we got 3 years. Got 3 years. I still remember even at Mr. T at the last year, that's when the syndrome started. I don't know. I don't know. I hope it's good. But the problem is after that, 4 years, who's coming in next? That's the problem. That's why I want you guys, I want everyone to get smarter. I want us to grow together. I want us to communicate. I want us to educate, teach each other. Because yes, we got to keep more of that green stuff in our pocket because that stuff buys freedom. It buys time. But like I said, the only thing we could have is lower gas. I think we're at like $2.89 right now. Which ain't, I mean, it was almost down to $1.99 when Mr. T was around. I mean, that helps. But if appliances go up 20%, if garage doors go up 20%, and your wages aren't going up. It's always funny when they do the wages, right, compared to what your money was worth back then, when we have to still hear all that stuff, well, I made 50 cents an hour. And you're like, yeah, but a house was like $5,000. And when you do the ratio, it's like we're way off, way off. That's why they won't ever tell you about Social Security. They don't want to, because if they tell you inflation is red hot, what do you think all those people on Social Security are going to do? They're going to go, where's my raise? Where's my raise, baby? You said yourself that inflation is this. So it blows my mind too that we haven't gotten inflation down to 2%, but yet we're going to lower rates. I think it's to help them more or less, their debt. Evan says vehicle lose value the second the front bumper leaves the dealership. Isn't that weird? That's weird. That's weird to me. I look at that, and that's why you're exactly right. You know what I mean? That's like I was trying to tell the kids one day. I said, look, I said, you can go buy a vehicle. I said, you drive it off. I said, it ain't like you can turn around and sell it. Now, you could have, right, when the old cough syndrome was going on, stuff was a little goofy then. But nowadays, I mean, I can't go, well, hey, you can buy this brand new car. I just bought it, 2 weeks ago. But it's $5,000 more than what you're going to at the dealership. Well, why wouldn't I go to the dealership? This car's already got, 200 miles on it. Well, because you like me. That normally doesn't work that way. So they go down in value. So that's why I think the elite, the rich, like I said, you're looking for, can you imagine? I mean, was it like, I think it was like this earlier today, the stock market was down, but now the stock market's up. I mean, I think all you gotta do is invest in the S&P 500 and they're going to keep going up. It just goes up and up. You gotta always remember, the biggest thing that was a turning point for me in my life was always figuring out what's a liability and learning what's an asset. A liability takes money out of your pocket. An asset puts money in your pocket. And then I always look at business as like a garden, right? It's a team effort. Sometimes it doesn't have to be. You can work and do all the weeding and everything yourself on the garden, and you can feed yourself, maybe a few others in your family. Or you can work as a community, have a bigger garden, have more variety, have more skill, right? It's a garden. But like I said, you got to learn those liabilities and assets. But you got to also remember, right? Sometimes you can save what do they say? You can save your way to zero, right? You got to make money. So, but I'm just saying, if you think about it and go, man, if I made $5,000, well, how do you make $5,000 a day? You know what I mean? And then like you'd be like, psh, oil change, no problem. New tires, psh, no problem. New car, psh, no problem. Lease, nah. Insurance, I don't care. I make $5,000 a day. I'm the man. Or the lady. We don't have any ladies, I don't think. They all hate us. Just joking. Evans guy says, so far, the only thing we're dealing with from the U.S. is possibly the tariffs. I know. Isn't that weird? I've been hearing something. They'll figure it. I don't know, man. Sometimes I really try not to get over this whole fear thing anymore. It's kind of like when, the world, you should have rations of food and stuff like that. Dude, there's always somebody that wants to take your money. If you got money, you're fine. Because somebody will be out there ready to make it for you, Evan, did you guys ever go through the toilet paper shortage? Or is it only us dumb Americans? Were you short on toilet paper up there too? When the cough syndrome was going on? Rich B, Evan, you getting a carbon check in the mail? Carbon check. It's auto deposit, Rich, but it's all bull. It's all bullshit. I don't think I know anything. What's this? Getting a carbon check? What's this carbon check? I don't think I know anything about this. Yes, Tony's got 305 at Costco today. Gas, yeah, I think we're at like 380 something. Have I seen? Probably went up overnight, the holidays. Tony's got 1980 garage door openers. I know, dude, Tony. We had a little share between Rich and Tony and myself, and that's what I'm always like preaching about. They had an ad. What was it? 1980. 1980, and garage doors were still $149. That's what blows my freaking mind. It drives me nuts. It really does. It drives me nuts. I can't stand it. It drives me nuts that garage door openers have not gone up in price. You know what I mean? And then when we try to buy them, right? When we try to be the dealer or deal with the professional genies or the professional lift master, and the customers are like, I can go to the box store and it's like $200 or it's $250, and you want like $600 or $800, and I'm like, I know, but mine's better, but yours come with a warranty, and they're a little bit nicer and stuff. I'm not gonna doubt that. I mean, Tony, he was that one. He was sweating on a video he did. You should go to Tony's Garage Door Service. He was dealing with that stupid tube and the rafters, and that's always fun. But yes. 1980, we watched the video, $149 for an old Sears. I'm like, how can it be that price? How can it be that price? Rich has got $2.92 for gas. Evans guy says, what would that get you, Tony? He says Stanley Deluxe with 80s bells and whistles. It was a Sears. It was a Craftsman. Well, it wasn't Craftsman. I think it was a Sears. Sears, the old gray, or not the gray, the wood grain. The wood grain. The head unit, I think I've seen those before. So I'm not sure the old ones I used to have, what those ones were with the front headlights. What year those are. Maybe a little bit newer. Best vehicle is to buy. One right off. It's lease. Oh, yes. Yes. That is true. That's true. And what's kind of nice too is if you lease, I'd always recommend, if obviously we go into a lease, is that you do pick a vehicle that you plan on buying out, right? Because that was kind of my case. I didn't expect my wife to keep the van, right? We were just going to switch them out. She went over on mileage. It was cheaper, better. But luckily it was a vehicle that she liked and was like, I never really liked this color. I just picked it out because it was there. She really loved it. So it worked out good. So it's nice too. It is nice having one owners, but then it's like we take it to the dealership and all it took was one knucklehead almost to not put enough oil in it. And, oil leak came on. They were very good about it. They towed it and all that kind of stuff, but almost wrecked the engine. I told her, I said, could you imagine? I said, we've taken really good care of this. I saw it took us one kid or whoever, they ended up firing him. I said, I didn't put enough oil in it. And I said, we would have wrecked this motor. And then all that fiasco, because they're probably not going to give you a new one. They're going to give you, well, it's a used, so we'll have to find another used. Well, how do they take care of it? Oh, man. Oh, it's getting bad out there. It is getting bad. Messenger says vehicle right off. Evan, look at your messenger I sent you. Evan, what had TP sorters back in? Oh, we had TP sorters back in. Yeah. I'm glad it wasn't just that was the weirdest thing. I always thought, what is the symbol? What is the code behind this that they're gonna look back one day and say they're shitty Americans or something? Like they were so worried about their pooper. Like they were going out for their toilet pooper. Like just something like a mockery of us. You know what I mean? Like how weird. Hey, I'm heck, I remember we had some delivered. We're like, wait, no, we're just going to get it delivered, right? And they delivered it to the front of the house, like not in a box. And I'm like, I pulled the door. I'm like, son of a, it's like you just hug it and you're like looking, making sure the neighbors are seeing it. There ain't nothing. You ain't seeing nothing right here. This is, no. There ain't no toilet paper. No, this ain't no toilet paper. You just back off. I still remember when it was going on, right? The shortage, and I was at a job. I was working late in the evening and I remember all of a sudden, you know how it's like you're at a place, you're like, I really do not want to use the bathroom here. Like I'm hoping I can hold it either for the shop or I can hold it for home. And all of a sudden she comes rumbling through me, right? And I'm like, nope, this is gonna happen right now. So I run out to the Porta John that got out there. I do my business, and I remember all I thought when I did my, drop my load, let's just say, I went, oh my gosh, it's in an area that we got this shortage going on. I guarantee the people around this neighborhood probably already stole it in this, right? Like, we need it. So I remember I looked under, and I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, I'm like prepared to like have to cut the underwear off, go for the socks. And there was a roll still in there. I was like, you idiot. All I kept thinking when I was sitting there going, you idiot. I went, why did you not check before you went? Because if I really wanted to, I could have went to the other side of the shop and used one inside. But it was a nasty load. Evan says, Tony, I love seeing those old commercials. It was sweet. That was a good find. I think Rich found that one. Rich B. That was a good commercial. If I get a chance, maybe I'll share it on the channel. It was good. Having any luck on getting remotes for those SEER units you were working on, Tony? Ooh, yeah, Tony, did you get the remotes working? Rich B's got Y2K. The good old Y2K. I don't know. We'll have to see. Maybe Tony will pop in and see if he got those remotes. Maybe I think he had to order them, honestly, so he probably hasn't got them quite in yet. But lots of fast food napkins. Ooh, yeah. Save those, Oh, I've done it all, man. It's been paper towels. I mean, it's leaves. I mean, you do what you got to do. I couldn't believe I went running in there at the last minute. And I remember I did my stuff and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like leaning on the thing and I went, oh my gosh, there's probably none in here because everybody's stealing the stuff, you know. I mean, I know that was a problem at gas stations and stuff too, you know. And I was like, oh, I was like doing like the like weeping, like, I just gonna be nothing here. And I looked and I was like, oh, there's one roll. I cannot believe it. It's weird how things change, right? Normally we never even think about it, right? Who takes that? Who does that, right? Eric Scotty says, I think the multi-code would work. I think Tony tried the multi-code or whatever the universal one. I think that wasn't working. The LiftMaster or whatever, the Chamberlain. Tony says, I haven't got them yet. He says, but yeah, they're out there. Rich in the video. He says, I think you sent me of the Brazilian hot dog. Yes. Andy, right? It's Andy, I believe. Eric Sky says, I use leaves when I went camping. Yes. You do what you got to do, man. Cut that underwear if you got to. Evan's got that exactly right. You know, you always check if there's TP before. And like I said, I felt like such an idiot, especially with what was going on in the world. I sat down and it was like, boom. And it's like, oh, no way. No. And this area I'm in is a very, and the thing is they set it right on the corner almost, right where two roads. So, I mean, everybody and their brother is going to be like, ooh, like, hey, I bet there's some in there. Let's go take it. I mean, I felt so sad. One time there was a lady, there was a girl that she ended up, I remember she was taking, I watched her, I don't even know how she did it, but she bought one roll of toilet paper and and she ran across his house was in decay. The roof was leaking, everything. I felt so bad. I was literally, my kids were complaining one day. And I said, we're gonna take some toys. We're gonna go over here and you're gonna see what it's like to be, you know, you get one roll of toilet paper, you know. I didn't know how she did it. She was right next to a Walgreens. And I was like, how do you get one roll of toilet paper? I was like, I don't know if she stole it out of the thing or what. I was like, I don't think they sell one roll of toilet paper. Rich's guy says, you don't remember Y2K in 1991, the computers were going to shut down. I do remember. That was the first, that was like the first panic, right? I always remember like everybody watching the computer, right? We had what, DOS, you know, really ancient computers compared to now, you know, and like watching because the dates were going to roll and the computers weren't set up for it. I think that was kind of like right that level about like, when I started thinking that they're lying to us, you know what I mean? Like basically I don't know if I'm probably gonna get whacked. So the black suit's walking, but the 9/11 one, right? The airplanes, you know, and all that stuff. That was my turning point. That was my like, all right, this is bullcrap. We're being lied to. Like I have no like respect. I'm like no weapons of mass something, you know. In the why, you know, so I think honestly, what I'm starting to think with my little bit of age is I'm thinking they do this stuff to stimulate the economy and they need your money. I don't know why, because they print it, but they need to keep you busy. They need to keep you working. They need those roads built. They need those airplanes built. They need those garage doors installed. Hoorah. And they need those houses to be built, those electrical lines, the airports, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what it is. I think it's to stimulate. That's why, I mean, think about how much activity, like shaking that crystal ball. Is it a crystal ball? Snow globe. It's a snow globe. I need to get a snow globe. I need a snow globe. Shaking that snow globe, right? And how much activity was going on. You know what I'm saying? Just, that's how I think. Like, I just go, why do they do what they do? You know what I mean? It's like, they get to sell fuel. Well, then fuel's cheap. Well, then it's like when I had a diesel truck, right? Diesel used to be cheaper, but then diesel got to be more expensive. So I was like, well, I might as well drive a gas, you know? So then it's like you get rid of your diesel, then you buy gas. And then now we're on electric. So, well, maybe, you know, I'll go electric. And my theory on that stuff is that I don't want to drive an electric car either. They're not there yet. But if they make it where fuel, let's say it's $200 a gallon, I'll probably drive electric. You know, they got the resources. That's the problem. Whoever controls the energy controls us. You know what I'm saying? Like, um, I can't produce gasoline. I can't produce my motor oil. You know, I can't produce propane or natural gas. Natural gas, I think you can do a little bit of. I've heard somebody, there was a lady that was my sales rep. She said they had a well, right? Something here in Michigan. They made them shut it down. They had a point. They were supplying 3 houses on the farm. And the government made them, they had to be recertified. And then like 5 or 3 years later or something like that, it had to be capped. Why? Why would something that's your own resource have to be capped now? They had to fill it full of concrete so they could never use it again. To me, that's like because they want you to hook up to the natural, or the the utility company, you know. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Yes, Rich B. Tony's got. I don't know if I should respond here. Where was I during the Y2K? I don't know. Depends. I think I was in school or just out. Maybe it just got home. I don't know. I just remember it was like everybody biting their fingernails. Oh my gosh, everything's going to shut down. The banking. Pull your money out. Oh, Rich has got everyone was buying generators. See, another way to stimulate. Stimmies, right? Well, that's what we need. We need some stimmy checks. We need some more inflation. We need some more stimmy checks. Joking. We see how that all turned out. But I don't know. I just think of all the generators. I mean, we had a power plant that shut down a few years back. I don't know, it's probably been 5 or 6 now. But I remember one of the guys even worked there. Got me even concerned. He was just like, I don't know, but he's like, I don't know how they're going to go this power. We're gonna have brownouts and stuff, which I know there is places in the United States that obviously do. We didn't experience it, but they probably sold a lot of stuff. I smoke. Evans guy says electric trucks suck. I agree. But it's weird. Like I've converted a little bit. Like sometimes I got a little chainsaw I use. Works pretty darn good. I got a little golf cart, right? My golf cart runs all electric. Works pretty darn good. Now a car. But what I'm getting at is that we all say that, and it might not even be in our generation, but they will. That's why the one analogy I use is I go, nobody, I'm guaranteed about, drives a leaded gas powered vehicle. Leaded, right? At least as a daily commuter. They might have one that's in the back 40 or something that's stored but nobody drives a leaded vehicle. You don't get it anymore. You know what I mean? Nobody's driving a steam powered, even though we should. I like steam powered. But what I'm saying is who controls the energy will control, it's weird how you think about it. I don't know why I was thinking about today when you're hooked up, they charge you those utilities, just to be hooked up. Little boogers, all the money they're making. So that's why vehicles don't run on water. The hydrogen, they should do the hydrogen. I think it costs a lot to make the hydrogen. Kevin says, saw a video the other day about holidays are spaced out about every 6 weeks apart. Yep, are actually rolled out dates to stimulate the economy. Xmas, Valentine's. Yep, I agree with you, Kevin. I've watched something very similar. I think there really is something to that. I think there's something to make people, they have to have something to look forward to. You know what I mean? Like, otherwise it's like didn't they say like, right, that's why they didn't make the highways straight. They make them with curves and that because they figured people would fall asleep. You know what I mean? They had to have curves and stuff in them. Now I know sometimes they talk about properties and stuff like that. But I think you're exactly right. I think they do it because people have to have the next, and then you think about it. Think about all the money that gets drummed up, all the vehicles and driving and gasoline and oil and brakes and everything. And people are, and like I said, I'm not saying it's bad. It's nice, right? But what is it? Christmas isn't even really on Christmas, right? If you look at the real, how, what it's supposed to be for religion and stuff like that. And then I was watching something, I think like Coca-Cola. Wasn't Coca-Cola one that like invented Santa Claus? Something like that. I mean, it can go really deep. It can go really deep. And that's why like I said, are you supposed to eat an egg? Or are you not supposed to eat an egg? To this day, nobody knows. They never tell you. They won't even tell you. They couldn't even tell you what to do when the cough stuff's going on, right? Except we got the solution. How do you have the solution? We still can't even cure male baldness. Guys losing hair. We can't cure cancer. Why? Well, we know why. You know, they're businesses. They make so much money. Money, money, money. Money is one of those things that if somebody comes across, you come across a video or something I think is like really like, whoa, mind blow, send it to me. Because I still this day, I go, I don't know if aliens made it. I don't know how it all got, you know, I mean, 1971, we got off of it, got off the gold standard, things got screwed that way. But to think about how much stuff is controlled and manipulated and that people follow along with it is amazing. Is amazing. Evan says apparently there was water-powered vehicles, but seems like the inventors always had, yeah, dirt on the Clintons. Yeah, if you know you got anything bad about the Clintons, man, you're gone. You're gone. We'll see. We'll see if Trump can. You know, he didn't get her in there last time. Maybe this time he can. He can give her the bars. I highly doubt it. You know, like I said, that's why you got to watch the was it George Carlin, whatever. You know, it's one big club, and you're not part of it. You know. I mean, you got to think about it, right? When you think about it logically, we all have greed. You have greed. I have greed. We all have greed. Some people have a lot of greed. Some people have little greed. Little greed. You know what I mean? And when you think about it, what are those people doing when they're in power? You know what I mean? They don't get no punishment, right? Their terms are some of those, right? The senator, they're in there forever. You know what I mean? Forever. And yet they're making, you know, they only get paid this much, but yet they make this much. I mean, tons of money, right? You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't make any sense. And if you're in there, right, what's your real like, oh, because you're going to get maybe voted? I don't even know if the system's, I don't know if it's even real. I don't know. I don't know. I still don't know if the earth is flat. I haven't walked it. Have you? I don't even know if the moon is this. I haven't been up there. I mean, I can see it. I'm kind of like, you know, like the George says, you know, you know, maybe the sun, I can see it. It keeps me warm. I can, you know, I don't know. You can go pretty deep on that. Oh, man. What's up, guys? Rusty, I'm glad you're here. Hope you had a good day. I probably won't stay out here too much longer. I think it's gonna start. I gotta do some cleaning myself. I got some stuff I gotta get ready for tomorrow. What's up? He lives. Rich P says, "What's up, Rusty? Rusty, what were you doing? Where were you at? Were you busy? Were you working? Throw something in the chat if you can before we kick her off here. See what goes on. So maybe if you guys rattle me enough, we could still always fire it up. Maybe Papa Tony or something to jump on, so I can, you know, drink a cold one of water. Kind of all kinds of stuff going on. Got bacon. Wife's a cook, man. She's good at it too. I can see it pop up here. Oh, finally looked up here. Rich has looked across the lake. If it was flat, you would see Wisconsin. Could be. Could be. Could be. I don't know. You might be right. You might be right. It's hard to say, right? It's like when I was listening to one guy was telling about like the rock. He's like, why do they always go up, you know? And then he was saying they go to the Bermuda Triangle. They don't ever go outside of the atmosphere. I don't know. I haven't been up there. There's all kinds of stuff. I don't know. All I know is what they tell me. It's like I guess one thing that's always weird is they say like on maps, they actually make America look bigger on the map on a globe than actually what it is because it makes it feel more grand, like he feels bigger and more in charge. Yeah, I never thought about that. Why not? Right? Why not? Ooh, Eric says, he said, I'll join. You want to recruit me for the stream? Oh, nice. That's pretty sweet. Like I said, I don't know what's going on. Then I found out, right? They always want to get in there with that money. My stream, I got to start. I'm gonna eventually have to start paying, which is fine. I'll pay for it. But like if I was to come back on tonight, I'd have to go somewhere a little quieter. It's gonna be noisy. I can't use my software. I can't use my computer. Rusty's got, he says, had to be an opener I installed an hour from home. Oh no, today he says it over traveled and got jammed. Okay. Must be because of the cold. Huh. Reset it and stayed programmed. No reason to lose settings. Man. And installed two 9x8 92s and two 81 600 openers. It's funny now that Rusty brings that up. I was talking to my brother-in-law, right? And anyways, we got that Power Master working, right? Everything's good, right? And that's one of those I always talk about, like that travel, man, that goddamn travel, that traveling. So hear me out on this, right? He tells me, I said, is it working good and all that? And he goes, oh, I got something to tell you. He goes, we recoded the floor in there. That's what he does for a living, recoats the floors and stuff. He said, we recoded the floor. Well, we got a little close to the garage door. Basically got the garage door seal stuck, right? So it's overnight, it hardened and stuff. Go in the next morning, right? Go to open the door does like a jerk, but it quits working. I don't know. He's like, I gotta go, gotta work, whatever, blah, blah. Well, luckily, his worker, whatever, came in, figured out what was going on. The door got stuck because of the floor coating, right? What happened is I zip tied the power along the rail, and because the rail flexed so much, it pulled it out of the socket. And he goes, luckily, he caught that. He says, because I was literally going to call you and have you come out and look at it. And he says, all it was is unplugged. And I'm like, I would have been so mad to drive whatever, an hour and 15 minutes one way to go, hey, dude, it ain't got no power. So I'm glad he figured it out. But that's why I talk about sometimes. That was not my fault. That would not be my fault. But it would be my fault because I touched it and they don't understand what's going on and it's your product and you know what I mean. The list goes on and on. Oh man, tomorrow have a 15x7 opener or something. Man, you guys are crazy. You're crazy. You're getting my anxiety all up. You got doing it on Christmas Eve. I'm telling you. Yep. Hey, Evan. Anywho, if you guys want, let me know. Harass me tonight or something like that. If you want me to come back on, we'll do one a little later. What is it, 9? It's not too bad, I guess. But I'm going to let you guys go. Thanks for being here, as always. Got anything? Throw it to me. Email me. Text me. Anything. I love it. I love hearing it all. Tony's got, help me, I'm done, he says, for the next couple days, maybe. Yes, he took it away. He says, I'm dealing with that next week. He says, LiftMaster ran into up limit. Oh, man. What's for dinner? That's right, what's for dinner? I don't think I got nothing for dinner. I should go out and grab something. I don't know what, but I'm sure there's something here, but you got to cook it and all that kind of stuff. Oh, my goodness. So maybe I'll go out. Maybe we'll do something. Let me know. See you guys. I'm out. Peace out. Tony, let me know if you do a live or anybody, whatever. I just want to watch. Or I'll Red Robin. Don't say that, Rich. Oh, that sounds